You've lost control of this. I thought we had a chance, but we don't. You all are dead. What inner demons do you have left to face?
Gosh.
We can cut it.
I'm sorry. Okay, do I say something?
Yeah.
Okay, welcome to the panel for the cast of 2.
Yay! Insert, woo here.
The voice you're hearing is Emily Klein.
Who plays Jenny?
Who plays Jenny.
Jordan, who are you?
Hi, I play Sawyer.
I'm Joey, I play Andrew.
I'm Kristen, I play Angelica.
I'm Emily and I play Kaden.
I'm Craig and I play Scout.
And these are the questions.
Yay, we're missing
We should
half
maybe
of this crowd.
explain a little bit.
Oh yeah.
What do we expect?
So basically, we're just doing this so that we can ask. Emily's going to ask us some questions, and we're just going to give some answers about just characters, plot, the future.
Yes.
So Emily,
This Emily.
I throw it to you now.
So they can't see. So, what's the backstory of 2? What was the production process and influences?
So, all those years ago, sophomore year for us,
That was my 8th grade year.
back when Joey was in 8th grade, I had to do a movie for my creative writing class, and I started something called Welcome to the Edge, which is intended to be a web series of 5-minute episodes, and that didn't happen because making web series is really hard. But Kristen was in it. She was Delilah, and she was like the breakout star of that. And we kept on coming back.
About me is Abigail.
They were all, everyone was in it but me, except for him.
Okay, you.
Yeah, Joey was a babe.
And everyone, so we wanted to come back to the idea of a web series because we idealized that experience in our mind. We were like, that'd be really fun. We had no idea how much pain and suffering it would actually be. So I texted her, I think at the end of junior year during our school production of Cinderella, I was just randomly like,
That
what?
was sophomore year.
Theater isn't necessarily all that fun for me for undisclosed reasons. You know what would be fun? A web series. So I texted her and I was like, hey, want to do a web series?
I was like, yeah, that sounds really fun. And so we started talking about ideas. He already had this whole concept.
I had 3 or 4 concepts, which was
Yeah.
Welcome to the Edge. There was one with conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
There was the one with, what was it? Oh, 2 Worlds.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So and then ultimately we settled on this because we were like, this is doable. I mean, and originally it was called the Quantums. And there were different characters. There was a second set of triplets.
There was a third set of twins.
Third set of twins.
Yeah,
Second set of
there was, yeah.
They were except they weren't actually related to each
What was
other.
the other girl's name?
There was Imogen.
It said Imogen.
Imogen and
Imogen.
this guy with the most generic name who I can't remember. Fine.
Sorry, Todd.
Bill. Sorry.
Craig. And so we had to go through and maybe one because from there it just really kind of went to chaos. We spent a few months writing it, and then the 2 of us trying to get to work. We recruited people, we lost some people, and then we only really started producing it in spring of our senior year.
Yeah. So we were working on writing it and coming up with the overall plot line and how we wanted it to flow for a solid year or so. And then by the time we started our senior year, we were trying to actually put it into the production. And putting it into production meant that we had to take all these concepts we had and actually find locations to film and people to play the extra characters and just times of day that people's schedules worked. And once we started getting into logistics, that actually made it much harder to film it because even if you had a pretty basic scene, you had to make sure everyone could be there and that everything was working out and that even the camera was charged and little things like that made the actual production harder. And then we got some editing genius when we found Olivia Merriman, and that made it a lot easier on us because for
post-production.
In the post-production, because for a lot of it,
edits everything.
Yeah.
And this whole thing has been what, probably close to 2 years now since you guys started on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
TV shows, man.
Yeah, like so we started at the end of the junior year, so yeah.
Yep.
Like
Year and a half.
Year and a half.
Year and a half.
almost 2.
I see what you did there.
So clever.
So, which influences do you use to help act as your character?
This is just for everyone.
Yeah, just
I think like the main thing is I'm pretty similar to my character in real life, and what's weird for me is trying to figure out like not to just let myself be me, like what does change. So instead of finding like the main things about my character that are the same and I can relate to, I actually like pick out the differences and try and highlight those. So like one thing is Angelica is very family focused, so I have to like remember to really make sure that like anything that she does with her family in mind. Whereas I personally am really bad at being a family member, and I have a tendency to just kind of like leave and be like, oh yeah, mom, I'll be home at 11:30 tonight.
You leave at like 2 in the afternoon. Disappear for like 10 hours.
Yeah, I'll just be gone like all day. So that was a big difference that I was kind of watching. So it was an interesting influence.
With Andrew, I think at first glance, like I play soccer like in real life, so like at first glance, Andrew and I like have similarities. But then once we got like deeper into the characters, I got to start like taking apart the character and like looking at him closely. There were a lot of things that I realized that I had in common with him, and a lot of things that I didn't. So it was a matter of like incorporating the parts of me that were accurate to him into that, and then also I had to like kind of but I had to like create the parts of me that I didn't necessarily already have and incorporate those as well, which was like difficult because it was like I was partly being myself and partly being someone else, and like that was just a weird balance.
Caden is both like exactly like me and not like me at all.
Original answer.
Okay. No, I like conceptualize her in Hogwarts houses because I'm a nerd. So like Caden a lot of the time she acts like a Ravenclaw, which is my Hogwarts house, and so I see the parts of me that are really similar to hers, like her Ravenclaw traits. Like she's very nerdy, she's so knowledgeable, she like is very kind of she's a little like creative and original, information focused, and she's just like a big old nerd. But as you'll see it especially as the season kind of goes on, she also has a lot of Slytherin aspects to her. And so those are the aspects that I kind of had to expand outwards of myself to kind of find within myself. Like I had to expand outwards to find them within myself and kind of act as somebody who is nothing like me, because Caden is very Slytherin sometimes.
Yeah, I think in my case, I think you and Matt said it in your interview about me. I kind of know Sawyer, and I kind of think like, how would she react to things? And I just do what I think Sawyer would do, and I think in that way, as we started filming, I kind of molded Sawyer, and I also put in a lot of my personality as well, like Joey and Kristen did, because unlike Craig, whose character is the opposite of him, we kind of all are pretty similar to our character.
At least in the same ballpark.
Yeah, we kind of typecast ourselves, and then from there, like make the characters their own.
Yeah.
Except for Craig.
I mean, when I created Scout, I did so with the intent to play somebody who was completely different from me, because I feel like I've rarely had an opportunity to kind of actually act. Normally, I'm just kind of somebody who's really similar to myself, or something like that, or not that's not acting. I kind of try really hard to step outside myself, into, and that didn't work. Is a thing, because I created Scout, I'm like, wait, this guy is completely different from me. But in the end, once I started playing him, I started seeing all these things that overlapped with us, where, even just as the person who wrote him, I put a lot of my own experiences, things into him. And, in the end, he ends up being like kind of like almost the inverse of what everyone else said, where they're like, oh, I started from a point of being like them and then found the ways I was different. I started off being different from him and found the ways I was similar to him. And it's just weird because even though I just had to put a lot more kind of disdain behind my eyes and kind of say some things I'm not comfortable with, and just kind of be a little bit more jerky mannerisms, although apparently I have weird mannerisms in general. I got in trouble for that in theater. So I just, Scout was really weird for me.
I can kind of relate to what you were saying. So like towards the end, especially with, not even after we were done filming, I like looked back on it and I was like, wait, like I really wasn't. There were some things that I were like, oh no, I'm not like that at all. But then after filming it and looking back on it, like weeks later, I'd be like, wait, but, like that's not like I like realized I'm more like him than I thought I was.
And I think that's a big part of like characterization in general for different characters, because a huge part of watching a TV show or watching a web series is like finding yourself in different characters and like trying to relate to them, because that's what makes you care about the story. Like in a huge part, that's what makes you want to watch something. And I think that like being able to create characters that have that like both sides to it, like something that you're like, wow, I didn't really think of that ever, and then but something you can relate to, is part of what makes 2 such a great show, is that we've got these interesting characters that have so much that the audience can understand.
So, who are your favorite supporting characters?
Jenny.
Thank you.
We
I'm
love
I'm
Jenny.
gonna have to digress on that one. I'm kidding. Let me think.
I'd say probably Jenny or Kurt.
I like Kurt a
Just
lot
because-
too.
I like Georgia a lot.
Sarcasm just makes me laugh.
Georgia's
Mikey,
really
Georgia,
funny. Georgia's
Mikey.
really funny.
she is fantastic. My younger sister's the best.
Oh,
Mikey.
I'm gonna hop on the Georgia train with Joey actually, because Olivia Mione is such an underappreciated actress. She really is. Like she is natural in front of a camera, and I don't know if she realizes that.
Yeah, she did such a great job just kind of like getting the sass of Georgia down like immediately.
I think the acting that she did in the very last episode, it was even her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? That is,
Yeah.
that is so,
When she tells
that was
Lily to dump
so
Elliot,
good.
oh my god, the
That
was
delivery.
funny too.
Delivery.
That's
on that.
Oh,
No,
okay.
that's right. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
in the 6th episode. Yeah. There's the whole interaction between you and Olivia in the last one is really, really good.
My favorites are probably Elliot and Gray.
Oh,
I
great!
felt like Elliot did a
Gray's
really good job.
funny.
Elliot was just very good at being bad, and I feel like Gray was just a really nice kind of constant presence of supportiveness and snark.
You love what
She's funny.
Supportive.
I like the sassy characters.
Yeah.
Gray was really
Gray's fantastic.
As long as we're all in agreement, though, that Jenny is clearly the best option here.
Obviously.
Jenny's my best friend, okay?
Jenny is me.
I'm just.
I don't think I ever really talked to Jenny much.
Yeah, me neither.
I like show up in the basement at one point, and I'm like,
Oh,
hey,
she's like,
Literally,
What is
like,
that?
Oh, this guy really special.
I like look at Jenny twice in the whole series. That's it.
I
think
spend a
you
lot of
skipped a
time.
line.
Okay, so what is your favorite plot line?
Are we talking like sci-fi? One of our favorite like sci-fi.
anything.
Like anything that like kind of runs through the story that kind of like you're like this is a consistent part of it almost.
Not
Yeah. Or maybe if it's a spoiler, just allude to it. Like be cryptic, like a wizard in a fantasy thing.
Oh.
Very poetic.
Like Dumbledore.
Don't give answers.
Honestly, I think I like Scouts. It's like definitely the biggest one in there, and I remember Craig and I
Elliot one.
just Scout as like a character, like his plot line, and especially like as he grows, because you meet him and you think like, wow, this is a jerk, and then like you kind of start to see why. And I think that it's really cool that even when he's still when he's still feeling like a jerk a lot, you can tell that he still has that empathy. Like he's shoving it down, but he still like cares about Sawyer, even though he doesn't want to. Like just early on in the episodes too, you kind of see that a little bit, I think. Just like with her application and stuff. And I think that it's really cool to watch him like, he already had that, but watch him like learn that it's okay to act on it and it's okay to be a good person. Like I just really like that plot line and watching him like expand and grow up.
I think my favorite thing might be the tag scenes, just how they all come together at the end of the show. Because like with the tag scenes, you like at first, you know, like the first 6 episodes, the first half of the season, it's just like, you know, high school social drama, and then obviously with the end of trading up, everyone ended up like in the woods. So obviously sci-fi shit just like went through the roof. So
It's sort of much more than an intentional amount
and
of drug.
I think so, like, but also the tag scenes, like, so the tag scenes, like, the way they come together in the end makes, like, us realize that, like, this is so much bigger than ourselves, and, like, it's so much bigger than just the characters, which I thought was, like, very cool, the way they all piece together at the end. Because, like, up until that point, you're just like, I don't understand what the hell is going on. Like, why do I even watch these? they're like after the episode's over, and just gonna click out of them. No, watch them. They're important.
My My favorite plotline, I don't know if this is really a plotline, kind of aspect of the series, kind of to watch going through it, is the way that the four main characters interact. Like the way, I mean, and her too to an extent, just the way that like Scout and Angelica have this like very special kind of friendship, and they have a very special friendship, and then even going,
Rejected.
and then even going into and watching the way that evolves and how they learn to trust each other and the kind of things they go through. And even once we get into the later episodes when we start to cross a bit in terms of how they interact, where like maybe once I start interacting with Andrew, it's kind of interesting to see the way that they play off each other and how.
Yeah, because oddly enough, like me and Craig didn't interact that much, and these two didn't interact all that
I
much.
had like 2 scenes.
Yeah, so and at the end, we all started coming together, which was cool.
We're all
And-
lost for the woods.
I think I may be biased, but I really do like how, and from an audience standpoint, how you find out more and more about Kaden and her backstory as you go through the series. Like, you know, she seems suspicious at first, but you'll see. Yeah, all gingers are suspicious, obviously, but you'll see. So you'll see is like
so many ginger
in the
jokes.
last few episodes of the series, like how you kind of underestimate Kaden in a sense, as well as kind of some of you may be like correct in your assumptions. Like it's a really cool thing to see how she's more than just the nerdy ginger musical theater nerd.
She's more than Emily O'Keefe.
Yeah, she's more than
But
just.
she's not better than that.
So what was your,
Have some best friend.
Friendship number.
Friendship terminated.
I was like,
Emily
I was gonna say, Jordan, what are
Friendship
your
and
thoughts on
Emily
this? I want to hear you.
What a great talk show host.
I'm so sorry.
This isn't like a whole plot line, but I think I loved the whole plot of 106. Just because the whole point of the episode was to see a lot of characters interact with people who they didn't really interact with. And yeah, I think I loved Sawyer's plotline because it's just really like what?
That was fun.
Training Up's a good episode for Sawyer.
Powdered sugar beard.
Don't spoil them.
106 is aired.
We've seen.
I said don't spoil the magic of the movies.
Well, surprise! I didn't actually.
No, we got real cocaine. I don't know what they're talking
Not
about.
a
Real
druggie.
cocaine.
We didn't tell her.
It's also real Morpheus. We made our own drug specifically for this.
Yes, and it sends you. Okay.
They are not
Can't talk. Don't talk about what it does. That is not out.
Out of the woods is not out of the woods.
It's not.
They
Okay.
are
Not that
Advil
those
gels.
two necessarily have anything to do with each other. It's just the next episode.
Next.
Wait,
Saved it.
Nailed it.
So, what was your best experience filming?
There's a lot of good.
Me scared.
Honestly,
Can't relate.
like I feel like as we got towards the later episodes, we had a bunch of scenes that we filmed in the woods. I'm not going to tell you about what, but they're very emotional at certain parts. And I think that those were some of the best experiences because you could really like talk and like get to know, like you saw how much everyone like empathized with their character and like cared so much about what their character was going through because like we literally had people crying at certain points. And it's a super intense thing. And I think just like as far as like thinking back on like when you feel good about like filming, like it was those.
As miserable as filming in the woods was,
Yeah.
like, it was
There
terrible.
were so many mosquitoes.
We were all eating.
We were hating off each other. We were just
Kate,
like,
Thanks.
Emily got to miss out on that for the most part because she ditched the woods, but
Yeah.
like
Joey fell off a
we
tree.
were getting
got
eaten
poisoned.
alive.
So
Oh yeah,
it's there for
insert
that.
that blooper. No, we were getting eaten alive, and I just remember like I was wearing a t-shirt and shorts, and like I can't say anything else after that. But you were wearing like nothing. Your
I
clothes
had,
were
like,
small, and you just like
leggings
got
and a shirt, but it was
mauled.
well, it was a
terrible.
like damned if you do, damned if you don't thing. Where if you wore lots of heavy clothing, then
It
you
was
would
too hot.
die.
douse. And if you were wearing like shorts and a t-shirt, then they would be eaten.
So it's like, would you rather be crispy and burnt up, or just not exist?
I mean, those were still like some of the best, the most fun scenes to do. Like those days when we went out into the woods for just hours at a time. Those are still some like my favorite scenes that we've done.
Also, there's one scene that we film in a lab in the school, and I'm not going to tell you too much about that.
That was
but I
good.
think that was probably my favorite time. I just remembered it.
My
I
favorites.
played the door in that scene.
Just like Sawyer's badass. That's all I'm gonna say.
My best
so we actually get her
experiences
emotion.
involved both of my best experiences filming probably involved water. I had some really good experiences with my scenes that had to do with water. I feel like I got to do some really fun things. They were pretty quick to go through them. I got to cool off, so that was really nice.
I really liked that day. Do you remember that day where we filmed the big scene in one of the big scene in Trading Up with the cocaine? And
Yeah, we filmed.
and then
35
we
scenes, I think.
and then we also filmed.
That's what I was.
And then
gonna
when we filmed the
say.
scene where I shot Knife Man, and that was like my favorite day of filming because it was just very chaotic,
She
very
actually
efficient.
shot that.
Yes, I shot that. He's dead now. That's why he's not here because I killed him. He's
Yeah,
dead.
actually, we filmed. That was the very last scene we filmed in the entire show. So that we could film out the rest of the show in that, and then we went back.
We were mad at him for some reason, so then when we did it, we just like
Actually,
And I,
just like switched out.
Craig wrote it into the plot that because I've known him the longest, that I had to be the one to kill him. So like, I've known him for 13 years. Like it's fine.
I just think all the days where we could do like a lot of filming were always really fun.
Yeah.
They were super stressful, but they were hell.
I think whenever we like actually like pulled off a special effect, like it was difficult figuring out how to do it, but when we actually did it, it's pretty cool.
Whenever we figured out how to do one of the,
Yeah.
because like there were a lot of funky
Yeah, like-
things with like all the telepathy and the telekinesis. There were a lot of really funky things going on. Yeah. So
I think
like,
also,
whenever we
like,
figured
the
out how to
fight
do those right, those were cool.
Yeah, the
Those
fight scenes too. Like, shout out to Olivia who does Krav Maga or whatever.
She choreographed all the fights.
Yeah, I
Also-
definitely would have gotten stabbed if not for her.
every single person who watched the 6th episode but didn't watch the 5th episode, how do you live with yourself going from the end of the 4th episode where she was
Yeah.
about to be stabbed and just being like, you know what, I don't care what happens to her, I'm gonna skip to the next one.
You missed me shooting Matt. Like, come on.
That was one of our best episodes. I do not know what is wrong with you.
Oh my goodness. Not to be hating
Oh yeah, because
on
that's
you,
the one
but
where we bought.
shame.
You put a stick on my head, right?
No, that's
the
one of
party.
four. That was 4.
The party.
Oh,
What if I was the
party?
these names
Oh.
and numbers.
I forget the name.
You should watch it
Ties
because we worked
lines.
very hard on getting everyone into that party at the same time.
Do we film
Okay.
both? There are like 2 parties, more or less. in the
No, the
show.
other party that happens later
And
was.
getting but just like getting
I don't
everyone
know.
into the same place for those was
Yeah.
so hard.
And
Those were like the hardest
we
scenes in the show.
originally were gonna film them on the same day, and
That
then
just didn't happen.
we couldn't. And so like some of the people that were supposed to be at the 105 party just like couldn't come.
What's the question again?
I don't know. Let's go to the next one.
That's basically
I think we all answered that.
Yeah, okay, let's go to the
Got it.
next.
Okay, come on, tell us your favorite episode.
Favorite
This could be a
episode?
quick answer, just like go through.
Just say it.
Let's do names. Names of the episodes.
Are we doing the name? End of the universe?
Really?
Yeah, 108, 109.
Interesting.
But what's the name of
She
that?
said it. She said it. She already said it. Out of the woods.
I think it's Out of the Woods. It might be Blood and Water actually. It might be Blood and Water, but I think it's Out
Out
of
of
the
the
Woods.
woods.
See, the last half is just like.
I mean,
You gotta
Into
watch
the
it.
Destruction is
As
really
it,
good too,
for
though.
me, it's either Engines of Destruction or Blood and Water.
I really liked the end of the universe, but seeing Trading Up put together, that one just surprised me so much with how well that worked.
Yeah.
Since I thought that was
We were
probably our
expecting Trading Up to
candiest,
be a mess.
messiest episode, and it worked really well.
Yeah, the thing about Trading Up was that it felt like it was
That was
almost like
Yeah.
a filler episode between like the first half of the season and the second half, where we were switching over from how like the vibe of the whole show felt.
Yeah.
And I think we weren't sure because we had to tie up a lot of different
Loose ends.
like loose ends in that, and we weren't sure if that would come across as like clean or come across as really messy, and it ended up going really well.
Yeah.
No one said Ties That Bind.
Yeah.
Rip.
I think mine just
It was
though.
special, but kind of average in its specialness.
It doesn't
I
have
feel
those
like I had the
moments that we
most
love.
fun doing Little
I just like the road trip.
Yeah,
That was a highlight.
That's like it's overall. You have to sing along.
Yeah.
Oh!
Yes, Emily Klein, dearest.
Are you ready? Yeah, we're good.
It's fine.
What surprised you about people's reaction to the show?
My dad got like super into it. Like, he's a very minor character in like the later episodes. I won't spoil that, but he's super into it.
I'm, as the only person who's still at the high school, I can say that actually more people are watching it at school than I expected. And like, I'm like advertising it a bit, but like I'm not going super OD, right? Because like it's just,
It's okay. We gotta live there.
yeah. So like,
Junior year, man.
Survive.
So like, but like more people are watching it than I expected, and people like generally have like positive feedback about it. Not that I wasn't expecting positive. I was expecting them to trash it, but like, it just there are more people watching it than I expected, which was cool. I was like, oh, the people are just like, hey, I watched 2 this morning. I was like, oh, okay. Why?
People watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, my behavioral science teacher at college watched like some of it, and he was like, "Whoa, it's good." I was like, "Cool, thanks, sir." Like, nice.
You have to
I'm
call
at the Air
people
Force
sir.
Academy.
They have to call each other.
Yeah, at the Air Force Academy, our my behavioral science professor was like, "Whoa, that's really cool," and I was like, "I did not know you were gonna take time to do that."
Angelica's ringtone.
Sorry.
That's mine was really picked up.
Do I have to answer the phone call from my mom?
You can step after.
What a great family member!
Again, Angelica, me.
Okay.
I showed it to a couple of my friends at school, and 2 of them out of the 3 main people I showed, 2 of them loved Scout. Like Scout was their favorite part, and one of my friends hated Scout because Scout is an asshole, like valid. But I was really surprised that he hated Scout so much because I personally really enjoy Scout's character, so I was just surprised that like somebody disliked him enough to be like, I'm not sure, like
I feel like
about the
Scout's
show
one
or
of those
not.
people that you can like love to hate, you know?
Yeah.
Because he's just like, you're rooting for him because he's a good guy, like in the show. He's like a good guy in the show,
I feel
and
like
like,
also,
but you like love to just hate how much of an asshole he is.
yeah, I feel like also though, especially for millennials, Scout's kind of relatable just because he's just so done. Everything.
It's interesting.
All
I
the
feel like
time.
what surprised me was how universally Sawyer was loved. Just
Everyone
because
loves
no offense, it's just because like everyone loves Sawyer. Like I haven't met a single person who was like, yeah, I don't really like Sawyer. Like people might like or dislike me or him. Not that I don't know names. But they can straight up just like
Everyone likes
love.
Sawyer.
They all straight up
Everyone
love her.
loves Sawyer.
That's because I'm a
But like I definitely like Sawyer or Jordan.
So now it's for just the questions that I came up with.
Oh my gosh.
What's your character's favorite animal?
unicorn.
It's true.
Has to be
What
real
else is Sawyer's
animals.
character? Excuse you.
Unicorns are real.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get the memo.
Guess you haven't seen season 2 episode 1.
None of us have seen season 2.
None of us have filmed season 2.
It's for me and the unicorn.
There's a season. There's a. Okay.
Come on, man.
Cow.
Andrew probably doesn't feel comfortable saying his favorite
My cow.
animal.
Yeah,
He's afraid that
my
whatever he
cows.
says, his friends will make fun of him for. And so he's just like, he's like, I like hawks, like our school mascot. And they're like, go home.
He likes tigers.
I was thinking sorry.
Yeah,
Tiger,
you
that's
said it, but
Why just
that
a
sounds like a
cow?
good answer. I was thinking like something
Cows
else
and
like
tigers
Andrew.
are
I was like thinking of Andrew and I was like, oh, cow.
You're like, no, I'm a cow.
Can we come back to me? I don't know.
Sure.
Yet.
I think Kaden wants to pretend that her favorite animal isn't something really basic like a dog, but it is.
I was expecting like some spastic answer.
Like she's like it's a chameleon.
Random.
It's a golden retriever.
Scout,
We all
Scout might claim something like Dementors him, but I feel like he's really like a cat person. Like he's really a cat person. Like,
Yeah.
he
Scout
has,
would get a
if he could, he'd have like 50 kittens. The thing is that I'm allergic to them, so for all I know, he's allergic to them, and he really wants a kitten, but he just can't have one because he'll be
Maybe
sneaky
that's
and
why he's so
Cute depression.
angsty. Oh my god, he's angsty and doesn't have a cat.
cute angst.
Sawyer like breathes all the cats.
Gosh, Sawyer, I thought you knew.
I feel like Angelica likes pigs. Just because they're really smart. No one appreciates them. I feel like she'd be like, I have to appreciate them because no one else does.
Andrew likes pigs. They taste good.
Oh no.
That would be. I can sense like that
Is
being
anyone
a
here
thing
like
between the two
vegetarian or
of them.
vegan?
I don't eat
pork.
pig.
I hate pork.
Well,
I
just
wish
don't
I could be
like it.
vegetarian, but like I get a headache if I don't have like a solid sandwich every now and then. So.
I wish I could be vegetarian, but I eat burger like every day at school. And people
So like I like
love
you.
people in the
meat.
cafe.
I wish I could be a
I can't
vegetarian.
not even gonna try.
I feel bad for the environment because meat is bad for it.
Yes.
Oh well.
But it's
Oh,
good for my
good
tummy.
for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's. Are all of your questions like this?
Yeah.
Let's go, I'm so excited.
Oh, do you want to keep going?
Yes.
What's your character's favorite color?
Oh my gosh.
Rainbow.
Rainbow and unicorn.
Secret.
Really
We
original.
all think Joe is the young one, but actually Sawyer's 6 years old. She and Mikey are best
That's why
friends.
we have glitter.
Hey, it's Jordan.
We're talking about the character. She
Are
asked
we
about
though?
the
But
Andrew.
you-
Okay, you said Joey is the
Well, yeah, 'cause you
youngest,
think
but then you
about
said
the younger than
Jordan.
wait, is he younger? Who
No,
was like
Andrew's older than Angelica.
I'm older than her.
I don't think we ever
But
say
Joey's a
who's older
baby.
than us, so it doesn't
I feel like really we're the older twin set though.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, we're definitely the more
Yeah,
popular
like the
twin
mistake
sets,
before the
considering
twin
family
set
action.
becomes right.
Thanks guys for loving the Stevens.
You,
Yeah, that was
Katie's
that was
the
an
best.
ongoing debate for like a long time.
Yeah.
Which is better.
to be fair, they get more screen time than
That is also true.
That's true.
Because she had to rush through her scenes. I am more like, I also have like just more close-ups in general, if that makes sense. So in general, it's almost like I'm
A
framed
lot
as
of
main
Chris,
character.
a lot of the Kristen scenes are like one angle, one shot, we're done.
Yeah.
If the lines were muddled, it's okay. We need to get to the next one because
Yeah,
Kristen
like
had to leave so
at
soon.
every library scene I did.
Yeah.
And
We call
also,
Kristen one shot, one slot.
one shot, one slot, yeah. Favorite color? I don't know. Black. No, not black.
That's
Blue.
scout.
Blue.
It's probably blue.
Blue.
It's probably blue.
Kaden likes pink because I think she wears a lot of pink and like mint green because
She
I
wears
just,
flowers. Everything she wears.
yeah, that's partially just me, but
I
like,
wear floral a lot too.
but yeah, I feel like Kaden likes
Like
soft
Angelica.
colors like that.
Angelica likes red.
I think I wear a lot of.
She just
Yeah.
but I feel like it's like
Red. Just blue and red.
it's like straight and to
Like,
the
if I
point,
wanted to
and it's
put,
like
like,
right and
three
it's
outfits
present,
in
but
the
it's
show,
not like
floral
over
dresses.
the top. You can like have it more subdued and like a little more serious, or you can just be like just a good color.
Well,
Wait, maybe
Craig,
Sawyer's
there's-
is also red because I wear the most
No,
red.
it's black,
whole
right?
page.
It doesn't have to
Wait,
be your favorite
did you
color
say
to wear.
red?
It's your favorite.
No,
No,
like I
red.
feel like what?
You wore like maroon.
Okay, well, I know that there's certain colors. There's a certain color that Scout explicitly hates. I don't know if there's one he likes because he's so
No.
he's so focused on hating that one color. I don't know if he has an opinion. He wears some black, but I don't know if that's his favorite color.
He wears
Uh,
some black, lots of black.
And he wears blue.
I
but
like,
don't
didn't
know
even
if
make that
either.
connection until right
I guess
now.
maybe gray. I feel like he likes gray, and like not and like the character and the color.
Wait, what? What's happening?
I'm not even thinking
Oh
of
They're struggling so hard. Can you answer again? They were
That
struggling
connection
the whole
thing just
time.
I'm so
happened.
smart right now. I'm the only one.
It's been a while since we did two. So.
I like didn't know that.
I'm
Just now. It's not like I forgot. Like that's just.
Alright, let Craig answer.
Oh, I just said his favorite color is probably gray.
Nice.
Like not in a depressing way, just like the person and the color, and it's like
Very much.
Only friends.
like he likes black and white
Friends.
with race.
Very, very good.
Alright,
Nice.
Charcoal.
we're ready. We're ready for the next
Yeah,
one.
That's all I wrote. But
That's all she
I had a question like earlier. Like,
Favorite
but
Who's your favorite other main character?
Oh, favorite other main
I like
We're
Andrew.
I
can't
I like
choose.
Andrew.
I like all of them.
I think I like
I like
Scout.
Andrew.
character. I like Kaden a lot. Not even gonna lie. Kaden's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Kaden's the best.
Kaden is
I like
great.
Sawyer and Kaden because Sawyer I feel I'm a lot more similar to, and I vibe with her more. But Kaden I really
Kaden's
like
just so
her
kind.
hidden depths and like the giant personality that's hidden behind everything, and the lines I wrote where she's like, oh, like this character in this wrong TV show.
I had to change a line because I didn't want to slander Brooklyn Nine-Nine's name.
Yeah.
Also, props to you for your long monologue.
I was just thinking that.
lines. There was like
Yeah.
10 of them and like one
Engines
scene.
of destruction.
Emily, a lot of the time would just have like monologues on monologues
She just
because you know she's the exposition machine, like
Okay.
machine. Like she just had the
For
answers
now.
a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So
You were really
at least
good
in the
at
earlier
writing.
episodes, she just was memorizing monologue on monologue.
But it was like on the
And then
top.
the rest of us were like, "We're in danger," and you were like, "Yes."
More
And
than
here is
you know.
why. And like a whole page of words.
That's so accurate. That's like the first thing.
Yeah.
We're in danger.
Oh no!
I
I
have
think
answers,
I,
but I can't give them to you.
Who are you?
I think I like the core four equally. So if I have to choose a favorite character, I'm gonna go with Knife Man. Because I can't choose Kaden.
We
so
finally
like,
get to we see Knifeman more as a character in the later episodes, and that's so fun.
That's
Yeah,
so not
like in the
much.
future.
It's still not a lot, but like it's still a bit, and it's really fun.
Yeah, I like Andrew because I feel like we didn't get a chance to really explore like everything that goes on with him just based on what we ended up writing. But if we went back and like rewrote it, there's like a lot more I'd want to put into his character.
Defense Squad.
And like
Well,
I think
no,
he's,
what was
he's
it
just
called?
like a sweet little
Something-
cinnamon bun, and like he's trying to like figure this role and like help take care of his family and everything. And I've always looked at it from Angelica's point of view because she's like, this was my job and now it's not my job and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. But like Andrew's just there trying to do his best for everyone. I think he does a really good job of like just staying sweet and staying kind of trying to stay true to himself while simultaneously not being sure how to handle different pressures from like the family and from like his friends and stuff.
I think that's the really funny thing about Andrew and Scout is I feel like the two of them are actually like have very similar kind of cores, but they like go the opposite way with how they
Handle it.
externalize that. And that's why it's funny when they interact in the way that,
Yeah, they could just have insecure battles. Like, I'm more insecure than you are. No, I'm more insecure than you are. Like back and forth, but it wouldn't work. But like they could.
and that's the opposite day of battles of who's more responsible. I take care of a club, yo. I take care of a small child.
Excuse me, I run SGA.
I've never seen you
I
at
push
meetings.
someone down the stairs because I'm not responsible.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know. You
well,
put someone
we don't
on
know.
SGA.
That was not confirmed.
We don't
She just slipped and fell.
So
Wait, did she actually get
So this is we're on, in like 34 minutes in, so we're gonna wrap up soon. I have this one. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. I have one more question I think I want to ask, which is that if we, in the future, if we came back to these characters, what do you think you would want to? Where would you think you would want to go with your characters the most? Like, what would you want to explore about your character the most?
I want Angelica to find a new passion. Because right now, her whole life, her passion has been Nike. And first off, that's stupid because it doesn't need to be, because no one should ever have to sacrifice their lives, like their entire life for their family. Like, you should be able to take care of your family and love them and support them and still go on to do something you love. And then part two, she's got, she's like discovered a lot about herself and about her family. Mikey's gonna grow up eventually. Her mom's gonna be able to take care of herself. So I want her to find something else that she's really, really passionate about that she wants to do.
I know you and I have talked a lot about what to do with Andrew, and we're like still not really sure. There's a lot of question marks with Andrew right now. I'm not sure exactly where to take it
Because in general, a lot of Andrew's question marks, and he fills it all in with his really good performance.
Thank you. I'm not sure what I want to see with Andrew.
That's valid.
Just because he's like,
Anything you have said? Still not passed?
I think I would like to see Sawyer find some independence and grow back a little bit, because she starts to at the end of season 1, but like she relies a lot on like the eco club and like having people with her, and it would be nice to see her like be more comfortable with being alone and like being independent and being a badass, because she is.
I would like to see more snippets of what's going on with Kaden, because by the time you get to the end of the season, it's like there's like you kind of understand her. And so it would be really cool, I think, to insert more hints about that throughout the course of the season. So that way kind of the audience can make more of an assumption as to what's going on.
now that we know her, we can like expand on her.
Yeah.
It's
Like
it took
shows who we know now.
it took me until the end of the season, because we filmed 110 Blood and Water. That was the last episode we filmed. It took me until then to kind of get her figured out. So I wish I could have incorporated that earlier.
I want Scout to be happy.
Aww,
Well, you're not.
I want Scout and Sawyer to be happy together as a family.
That's cute. She a married.
Did she get a cat?
Wait a second.
Be her, the unicorn, our cat.
Yes.
Can we
Our
name,
many
no,
one
we
family
can
family.
name the cat unicorn.
Yes.
Name the unicorn cat.
And also,
Yeah.
can we have a unicorn named Cat and a cat named Unicorn?
But then when you yell, hey, unicorn, which one's gonna answer?
Well,
The one named you.
I hope you've all
Both of your
enjoyed
kids will.
our tale.
Will.
I feel like we've
Go ahead.
reached a natural stopping point since we're nearing the runtime of our current longest episode. Available right now on ACC.
Emily, come smile for the camera.
If any-
Jenny, Jenny,
Hit that like button down below if you want to see more tea
And
content.
go ahead and subscribe so you see when we post.
And hit that little bell icon if you want to get notifications.
Stop this.
Promote